And there are two ways to brand. One way is to synthesize a brand. Say, I like these colors, I like this shape, I like flowers and butterflies, I like big things, I like whatever. But the other way to brand, that actually is going to create brands that last and are real, are brands that arise out of identity. Identity is the source of great branding. So when you know who you are, what you're trying to do, what value you're bringing into the world, the test of your brand is always going to be whether it expresses those things. And it is the only sure guide there is. One of the terrific things about understanding identity, one's own identity, is you begin to understand the identity of others. And when you know the identity of others, you can look for people with whom you want to work, with whom you want to be aligned. And you can also be very clear that if someone's values, where they're driven to do, what they want to do in the world, and so on, is not aligned with you, you don't want to be involved with them. It's very clear. If you, in building an organization, you build it if everyone's aligned to the same identity of the organization, then you have a coherent and highly efficient organization. There's another notion about identity that's very important. When you know who you are and you begin to differentiate yourself so you can see your influences as being separate from who you are, it's also, you can then much more effectively join the conversation of ideas. So the great conversation is basically, when we come into the world, there's been this conversation going on for a couple of thousand years. And to be able to enter that conversation as thinkers, as people who are doing something or with an idea or just trying to have an opinion about something, it's very difficult to find out where we join in that conversation. So that differentiation part of taking a look at all of our knowledge and saying this is what's new with me, you also have to know what the world was saying before you came along. It's for people who don't look at what came before them and don't have an understanding of what came before them, they're kind of adrift. It's like walking into a room where there's a conversation happening and saying the first thing that pops into your mouth. Well, it's either brilliant or idiotic, and the only way you can know is if you know what your precedents were. That if you don't preempt and let others differentiate for you, if you don't do it yourself, then they'll always get you wrong. So the only way to get it right is to know who you are, and be very clear about it, and be able to express it in everything you do, in your work, with your family, in your life. That's it.